Okay, so today we're doing something a little different. We're not just going to tell a detective story. Nope. We are going to take it apart, piece by piece, like a master watchmaker with a priceless timepiece. We're going to see exactly how a perfect locked room mystery is built. And, more importantly, how the incredible logic of the story makes its solution, well, just flawless. All right, so picture this, a classic, moody London night. You know the kind. Rain is just dripping endlessly over these old cobblestones. You can almost feel that damp chill in the air, right? And this is the scene that greets our detective, Elliot Graves, as he pulls up to this little watch repair shop, the flashing blue lights of the police cars just dancing on the wet street. And right away, before he even steps inside, we get a glimpse into how this man's mind works. This quote, this is his whole philosophy. For Detective Graves, a stopped clock, that's not just some random detail, no way. It's a statement. It's an intentional act that's practically screaming for an explanation. And, this one little idea, it sets the stage for, well, for everything. Okay, let's get into the setup. The detective walks in and is immediately faced with one of the most classic puzzles in all of fiction, the locked room, the seemingly impossible crime. So here's the deal. Our victim, a guy named Edward Holloway, is dead. But he's inside a room that is completely sealed from the inside. The door's locked, the windows are sealed shut, and there's zero sign of a break-in. So logically, how did anyone get in or out? It's a total impossibility, a perfect puzzle. But in the middle of all this impossible scene, one thing just grabs the detective's attention. It's a single silver watch clasped right on the victim's wrist. And it's stopped. Not just stopped, but stopped at a very precise time. 10:47 p.m. Not around 10:45, exactly 10:47. And for a mind like Graves's, that kind of precision, well, that's the first tiny crack in this supposedly impossible wall. And this is where we get the detective's first big leap in logic. He suddenly realizes he's not looking at a messy, chaotic crime scene at all. He's looking at a message, a carefully constructed message. The clues aren't in what's missing. They're in what was deliberately left behind, left for him to find. So that begs the question, right? If the whole crime scene is a message, then what on earth is it trying to say? Let's put on our detective hats and follow his logic. Let's look for the things that just feel intentional, the pieces that were designed to be noticed. And it doesn't take long for a pattern to pop up. First, there's a note on the desk. All it says is, "Time reveals everything." Kind of cryptic, right? Then there's the watch itself. It's got an engraving on the back. 10:47. Don't forget the time. And finally, they pull the phone records. And what do they find? A call was made at 10:45 p.m., just 2 minutes before the watch stopped. So you've got 3 totally separate clues, all pointing to one single thing, time. And this is the moment everything changes. The whole investigation just pivots on this one idea. Graves realizes the killer didn't just happen to stop the watch at 10:47. The killer wanted him to see that time. The time of death wasn't an accident. It was the main clue, hidden in plain sight. And when you look at that timeline, man, it is razor thin. At 10:45 p.m., the victim makes a phone call to a Dr. Nathan Crow. 2 minutes later, at 10:47 p.m., the watch on his wrist stops. He's dead. That gives us a window of just 2 minutes. The entire murder had to happen in that tiny, incredibly precise sliver of time. And that's when Graves just knows. A 2-minute window like that? That's no coincidence. That's a performance. It's planned. It's rehearsed. It's choreography. And now he's got a name for the killer. The other person in this deadly little dance. Dr. Nathan Crow. So, the story moves into its next phase. With all the evidence now reframed as this deliberate message, Graves goes to confront the only person who is directly connected to that timeline. And who is our prime suspect? A Dr. Nathan Crow. He's a horologist. That's a fancy word for an expert in clocks and watches from the British Museum, no less. And his whole vibe, it's just calm, controlled. But to a guy like Graves, it's all wrong. He's too calm. So Dr. Crow offers up a pretty simple, straightforward alibi. He says, look, I got there, the door was locked. I just peeked through the window, and I could see he was already gone. I mean, it sounds perfectly reasonable, doesn't it? Aha, but this is the trap. Graves uses the simple facts of the crime scene, facts that an outsider couldn't possibly know, and just dismantles the whole alibi with one single devastating question. The window was locked from the inside. So tell me, doctor, how exactly did you see him? So let's just break that down for a second. You have Dr. Crow's story over here, right? I was just an innocent guy who looked through the window. But then you have the hard facts of the scene over here. The windows were sealed shut from the inside. Those two things just can't both be true. The moment he claimed to see something he couldn't possibly have seen, he put himself inside that locked room. And then Graves delivers the checkmate. He reveals that the watch, it wasn't just any old silver watch. It was a one-of-a-kind prototype. It had a hidden engraving, a special dual mechanism, a design so unique that only its creator, the expert horologist, Dr. Crow, would even know how to use it. The murder weapon was basically his signature.
The trap is sprung, the suspect is caught. But you know, in any truly great mystery, right when you think it's all over, the story's got one final ticking twist waiting for you.
So, faced with logic he just can't escape, Dr. Crow confesses. He even gives a motive that sounds almost noble. He says Holloway was going to sell his precious prototype to smugglers, and he had to stop him. And there you have it. Case closed, right? Well, not for a mind like Detective Graves's. Something is still bugging him. It just doesn't quite fit. The whole thing was too perfect. The clues were too deliberate. This simple confession? It just feels too small for such a big, elaborate setup. He knows something is still missing. And here it is, the missing piece. It's just a number. 2. Because you see, the police didn't just find one silver watch at the scene. They found 2. This second watch, it was found in Dr. Crow's coat pocket. And here's the kicker. Unlike the one on the victim's wrist, this one was still ticking. It was still running. It was active. It was doing something. And that is the final absolutely brilliant twist, the perfect payoff. Graves reveals the second watch had a tiny transmitter hidden inside. Dr. Crow's whole confession, his story about the smugglers, every single word he just said, was being recorded. He wasn't caught by the murder itself. He was caught by the very confession he thought was going to save his skin. And so, in the end, the whole story just comes full circle. That theme that's been woven through this whole thing, from the first stopped clock to the last ticking one, is proven to be true. It doesn't matter how complex the lock is or how clever the alibi might seem. Eventually, time always tells the truth.